So, hey everybody, thanks for coming. This is the 2020 Forums through IIDA virtual series. This is the third conversation in a series of conversations that have been happening through the IIDA Northern California chapter. So you're here today to Sacramento's event, Constructing the Future. So this is an event that unfortunately was planned pre-COVID with as an in-person event. So thanks for joining us as this event moved virtual, and thanks to our presenters at Your Hofer Manessek for being willing to be a part of another virtual meeting. I'm sure they're doing this a lot too. So hopefully we're not in too much of a virtual fatigue and have a really great dialogue over the lunch hour. I will introduce myself, and then our speakers, I'll let them introduce when they start talking. But my name is Jenny Hastings. I am with Boulder Associates Architects and also a part of IIDA. And we have Jenna Abbott with the River District, Emily Cameron with Downtown Sacramento Partnership, and then my fellow moderator, Shannon O'Donnell, who is the IIDA Sacramento City Center Director, will also be helping me out today. So we want to thank IIDA for helping, obviously all of us putting on the event at IIDA didn't do this alone. We had advertising through the Central Valley AIA chapter and also the Sacramento Regional Builders Exchange. So thanks to our two fellow groups for helping us advertise this event and get people here. IIDA has sponsors that help put on these events over the course of the year. So we just want to acknowledge all of the patron sponsors who help make events like this possible, and support us in the design industry and putting on events so we can educate our members and the public. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Jenna, who's going to give her presentation on the River District. So let me pass it over to you, Jenna.
Great. Thank you very much, Jenny. I'm just waiting so I can, oh, there we go. Just let me bring up my presentation here. My name is Jenna Abbott, and I am the Executive Director with the River District, and we are a property-based business improvement district. And I'll go over boundaries. If one of the presenters, other presenters or moderators could just tell me that you are in fact seeing my screen, that would be marvelous.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, perfect. River District is a property-based business improvement district, and for those of you who are not familiar with them, we are founded by and funded by property and business owners in a certain geographic area. And I want to give you a bit of our history, and then I'll tell you where we're located here in Sacramento. Historically, the River District was a commercial area, and we supported commerce on the Sacramento River and using the rails. We were a very important center of the agricultural economy to the Sacramento Valley and throughout California, so things were shipped in and out of the River District. We were home to Burkett Richards Packing Company, which was the largest independently owned cannery in the state. So that's our history, but now it's the 21st century, and it's time for a change. This is the boundary of the River District, and if I can just kind of orient you here, this large parcel that my cursor is circling is the rail yards. This is the water treatment plant that you see here. This parcel here is 300 Richards Boulevard, so this is a city building. This large vacant parcel that you see over here is Township 9, and this will all eventually be filled in with residential housing. And then as you travel down Richards Boulevard here, you can see that we go all the way to the river. So our boundaries are generally 27th Street on this end, the river that you can see around the back of us here, and then the river, you can see the confluence of the American and Sacramento rivers here. And then our southernmost boundary is the rail yard. So that is the circumference of the River District. We are about 1.25 square miles, so not really big, but packed into that area have the lion's share of the social services for both the city and the county of Sacramento, as well as a lot of warehousing, manufacturing, and food distribution for the city. This is just another look at our map. It kind of tells you, because I know that you guys are land use and architect types and designer types, the different colors tell you what kind of land use is allowed in the River District. So you can see we have a lot of general commercial. we have very little residential and mixed use. We have a lot of multifamily that's allowable. We have some office and we have some industrial, but the vast majority of us, of our land and buildings are used for general commercial. So it's a very interesting mix. We have some of the most beautiful old brick warehouses in the city. So coming into 2020, we really set the stage for change. We have a lot of really great projects that are coming out of the ground, and I want to go over them with you. I do want to preface this by saying that none of our projects so far have fallen off, but that's not to say that they won't. We hope that they won't, and we're being reassured that they won't. Most of them have secured funding. So, you know, this hopefully will give you a little bit of hope that there are some great projects in the River District and in the city of Sacramento that are moving forward. The Powerhouse Science Center is going to be a real jewel in the River District's crown. It's a 100-year-old PG&E power plant that is being repurposed into a science center, which will have 50,000 square feet with 22,000 square feet of exhibit space. It will be state-of-the-art with a 100-seat full dome planetarium, and I'm super excited about that. You can see that dome on top. And if you drive along Jaboom Street right now, you can see that the metal and the walls have gone up. So this project is blazing along. It will come along with some improvements to Robert T. Matsui Waterfront Park, which is in the background, you know, kind of circling that with my cursor here. And that goes out into the old water intake here. The current campus is on Auburn Boulevard, and it serves approximately 60,000 people annually, whereas the new Powerhouse Science Center will serve more than 300,000 visitors annual. So that is a huge increase, as you can see. Opening date, and as far as I know, it has not changed. Although with COVID, you know, we may have to do a soft opening and wait. Was supposed to be 2020. So that's a very exciting project for us. We also have Township 9. Township 9 is a very large parcel. It is 27 acres of open space. All of the infrastructure is in place. It is at Richards Boulevard and North 7th on the north side of Richards. It backs to the American River, which is very exciting, and it is proposed to have 2,200 housing units that will go in there. Those housing units are going to be incredibly important to us, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. Under those, it will be multi-use, and underneath those housing units, there is proposed 840,000 square feet of office and up to 146,000 square feet of retail. So it's really exciting. We are expecting, there's a new owner that is taking over this parcel, and we are expecting this to close before the end of the year. We're excited about the owner. He's a local guy, and we're excited that he is moving forward on this. He's done some other very exciting projects in town. Coming up also in the River District is Mirasol Village. It was originally 218 public housing units, used to be called Twin Rivers Housing. And about 2 years ago, this entire housing development was knocked down. It was structurally unsound and really not acceptable housing anymore. The new construction is going to be considerably more dense. It will be 420 units on the same parcel, on the same footprint. So as you can imagine, it's going to go up, whereas Twin Rivers was spread out. It was jump-started with a $30 million HUD grant, and demolition is underway. Actually, it's done. They're starting to put in the underground utilities. Construction is underway now, and the developer on that one is McCormick, Barron, and Salazar. We are also the proud owners of two brand new, in the planning stages, light rail systems, or light rail stations. Really the jewel in our crown is going to be called Azul, and it will be located on North 12th Street, just south of Richards. Again, this light rail station is going to be incredibly important to us, along with the housing that I talked about at Township 9, both because it will serve the Mirasol Village community, and also because we have a large office complex that's being planned. Also coming up in the River District at 1400 North B Street is a brand new fire station for Fire Station 14. If any of you have been into the River District, the current fire station that serves a large part of Sacramento, Fire Station 14, is tucked on the North C Street, right beside Loaves and Fishes. It is a tiny and really old fire station. So we are excited to get this new fire station, which will still be in the River District, and very close to the other one, but on a vacant parcel. Construction has started on that, and that's super exciting for us to see that go up. This is the reason that housing and that rail station is going to be so important to us. The Richards State Office Complex is on the site of the old Office of State Publishing. It is several blocks. It's a 17-acre site. There are going to be new streets being punched through to service this building, and it will help the state consolidate a number of its agencies. As part of a 5 to 10-year plan, it will have 1.3 million square feet of office, retail, and parking in the bottom, as well as a large childcare facility. We're super excited about this, and really the planning that went into, the land use planning and so on that went into this whole project, the whole River District specific plan has led to this, because this building is going to have anywhere between 4,600 and 5,200 state employees in it. And we need that housing in Township 9 and that light rail to be running so that we can service this building. This building will not have 4,600 parking spots. It will have less than 2,000. So we need that public transportation. We need all of the, the bicycle shareables and the scooter shareables and so on. We need that workforce housing across the street. Township 9 is directly across the street from the Boulevard State Office Complex. So we're super excited about all of these projects. As I said, all of these projects, as far as we know, are full speed ahead. And that's exciting for us. We also have a number of other projects that are in the works right now. We have a North 12th Street Complete Streets project, which will add some bike lanes and, again, some light rail protected bike lanes. That's going to be very important for us. The new I Street vehicle bridge replacement is on the books, and we hope that that will work. The North 16th Street streetscape is something that we're working on right now, and that will add some tree canopy as well as redesign that street so that it becomes more pedestrian and bicycle friendly. The American River Crossing is an exciting project for us, and Pintworks Brewing Company is something I am really looking forward to. This will be a brew pub on the same parcel as Pipeworks Climbing Gym. They are actually almost complete and brewing beer. They're just waiting to complete the construction on the actual restaurant part. I'm so excited about this because there aren't really any or very many restaurant options in the River District right now. So I am very excited about being able to go and have a pint and sit outside and enjoy myself in the River District where I work. But all that said, we can be so much more. And I want to show you some ideas that I pitched to my board. And I want you to consider Toronto's Distillery District. If any of you have been there, then you will know what I'm talking about. In the 1990s, I'm Canadian by birth, and I spent 15 years living in Toronto. It's one of my favorite cities. And what is now the Distillery District was an old series of distillery buildings. They were literally right behind where I lived. They were considered the other side of the tracks. And when I lived there in 1985 and 1987, they were derelict and looked really bad. They were known for drug-infested streets and had lots of squatters. At one point, the city decided that these buildings, and if you look at them, the architecture is stunning. I love these pictures. When I lived there, I used to go and walk around and just look at these buildings. I loved them then, I love them still. But the city decided that they were unredeemable, and they slated them for demolition in the 1970s. Fortunately, a group of citizens of Toronto with a historical background understood the historical importance of these buildings. They made a movement to protect these buildings as a World Heritage Site in 1976, much to the disgruntlement of the city. In 2001, these buildings were all developed as the Distillery District, which is a PBID, and that's the same kind of organization that Emily and I both run. Now they are 13 acres and 10 streets of pedestrian-only Victorian architecture that looks like this. And every time I go home and I see it, it just makes my heart swell because they came within an eyelash of demolishing those buildings. The reason this is so important to me is because in the River District, we have a number of very historic brick warehouses. And if you're from Sacramento, you understand that brick is not really very common here. So having those protected, and they are on the historical register, that's important to us. And I would love to see something like this happen in the River District, and it's what we're moving towards. The jewel in the Distillery District's crown is the Toronto Christmas Market. It is an outdoor tradition, and it runs every year in the Distillery District. They take that and they turn it into this magical Santa's Wonderland with a huge Christmas tree, Santa's house, pop-up shops, little boutiques, and all kinds of street food. And normally this is where I would roll a video for you, but I'm just going to describe it to you instead because the video isn't working all that well. You can see in the picture all of the little wooden huts here in the background. Each of these has artisans from Toronto and surrounding area, and they light the whole thing up. You can eat outside. It's almost like a European Christmas market, and I love it. And it has been my dream for the River District for as long as I've worked there. So I would be super excited to see that happen, and I have my eye on which warehouse it would be perfect in. So now I've told you a little bit about all of our ongoing projects and our dreams for the future. So our best is yet to be. And I will pass it back to you, Jenny.
Thank you so much. Oh, so exciting. We were talking earlier before everybody jumped on that it's nice to hear things like this that's happening in our city because it gives us a little bit of hope in times where life is a little bit more challenging with everything happening. So before I turn it over to Emily, I want to I should have said this at the beginning, so apologies, but we have an opportunity for questions at the end. So if you want to, instead of with the webinar format, just ask questions in the question bar on the right side with the GoToWebinar platform, and then we'll get to questions at the end. So hoping for some rich dialogue at the end of the conversation. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Emily.
Hi, let's see if I can do this. It always works well when you do it in rehearsal, and then when you go to hit the button, you never know if it's working. Okay, looks like we're working, so good. So hello, I am Emily Cameron. I am the Public Affairs and Communications Director here with the Downtown Sacramento Partnership. And much like what Jenna was just describing, we are a PBID, Property-Based Improvement District. We actually have a fun designation. We were California's first PBID, and we wear that badge with honor. So our boundaries are pretty similar to what you see with the Central Business District, outlined here in red. We start at the old Sacramento waterfront and go to the west side of 16th Street between H&N and kind of curve around some of those publicly owned buildings that don't love paying property taxes. So, I'm going to talk about some exciting projects that were just completed as well as what's on the horizon. Obviously, in today's environment, we're still looking to see what the future holds, but we're excited and kind of hoping that everything I talk about today, you will still see many months from now. So starting with a little bit more kind of context for our district, not everyone knows that actually the downtown district is broken into 6 key areas. You probably have heard, hopefully by now, of the old Sacramento waterfront, our historic district facing the Sacramento River. We also have Capitol Mall, the entertainment district, which really has become the entertainment district with Golden One Center and that opening a few years ago. Civic Center being somewhat self-explanatory with City Hall, the federal courthouse, county administration building, a lot of the local and regional government seats there. You'll see flanked on the other side of the K district, the Capitol and state-owned buildings. The K, once was our pedestrian walkway and artery for downtown, continues to thrive. Fun fact, yes, you can drive your car on K Street between 12th and 8th. Just make sure you stop at 8th. You'll be surprised how many cars we see conflicting with the light rail next to the ice rink. So a little bit more about our district. Downtown Sacramento is home to about 1/3 of the region's Class A office space. So you see those tall buildings on Capitol Mall. In the district itself, we have roughly 200 property owners, nearly 100,000 employees in a lot of those offices. Just over 4,000 of our employers are office tenants. It gives you a real glance at the tenant makeup here. We are primarily office. You will see we have Class B office space that's really being reinvented, rehabbed, reimagined, and we think we'll see a lot more of that in the future. Storefronts, you'll see over 400 storefronts, and that's really a mix of food and beverage, entertainment, lifestyle, so your gyms, fitness studios, and nightlife. 40% of the region's e-permits are actually held within the boundaries managed by the Downtown Sacramento Partnership. A big spot, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but you'll notice that resident number, that is a glance at the central city as a whole, not just our district. The way that the numbers run, you have to kind of do a radius. So that's a 1 mile radius from 7th and K. By comparison, a lot of our peer cities, that number is at least double. So, you know, you heard about the downtown housing initiative to add 10,000 units over the next 10 years. We're about halfway through, and we have a ways to go, but this is definitely a priority of the Downtown Partnership, and I think for our region. So when we talk about downtown, kind of zooming out here a little bit to take a look at the skyline, it is pretty dramatic to think about how much downtown has changed, not just since the opening of Golden One Center 4 years ago, but really in the last decade. You see some cranes here in the photo, but you know, it's funny, even some of our skyline photos from 2 years ago I can no longer use because they're out of date, and so I like that I have to keep going up there and taking new photos. It means we have some exciting things on the horizon. If you look at just our development map here, and this can almost seem overwhelming, again, we're happy when we see lots of dots. So this are projects under construction, proposed, and it's exciting to see that we have now pages and pages filled. If you go to our website, downtownsac.org, and I'll share more information about that later, you can find all of these projects. And we like when we're running out of room and have to pick and choose when we're printing our annual report, which projects we can get really excited about. I had mentioned in residential that being a primary goal for us. You know, we didn't see residential construction for a long time. Over the course of a decade, really only saw, you know, a handful of projects coming online. But in the last 12 months, we've seen projects like the Foundry in the Bridge District, which we like to call the Bridge District on that side of West Sacramento, you know, the extension of downtown. So that added about 69 units, and Fulcrum developed that property. If you look at the barn, and in that area, they continue to build more housing. Down into Midtown 19J, this project was unique in that it was affordable by design, adding 175 units, many micro units, and really the first type of project like this. Nikki Mohana did a fabulous job. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to get in there and tour the units, but I'll tell you, it never made, you know, 400 square feet look so big. In Midtown, you also had, Satiri had several projects that he completed recently with 19Q, 20PQR, which is important because those were single family for sale units. And then just across from the Sacramento Bee, the Press was recently completed in the largest residential project with about 277 units. Dipping down into R Street, 1430Q Bay Mary's project completed with let's see here, 75 units and about 8,700 square feet of retail. And it's important to note that each of these multifamily projects include a retail component. Obviously, in today's day and age and what's going on with retail, how that is reimagined and moving forward, what that looks like is going to be really critical to how we talk about the downtown story. Of course, Port Satiri, right on the heels of shutdown, H16 opened in March. And if you haven't driven by this corner, it's right across from the old Clarion at H and 16th Street. It is a beautiful project. I used to live in Midtown just down the street, and to see how that corner has already just come to life with vibrancy and excitement, and they're still leasing and filling the building, really shows why these types of projects are so important. And then finally, for sale product, you know, I mentioned the 20PQR. The reason that these for sale single family homes are so important, and you know, years prior there was the Creamery over in Alkali Flats, which is kind of between downtown and the River District, the Mill here, which is off of Broadway, and a handful of other projects. These bring new owners to the neighborhood, which brings a new sense of ownership over downtown. You know, we talk about how important it is for downtown not to just be a place where you work, but a place where you can live. And home ownership is a big component of creating that long-term relationship with place. Now, we had one other project that was completed in the last year, and this project was very unique in nature, and that was the rehabilitation of the Bellevue apartments right here in downtown at 8th and K. This project holds significance for us in not only that it was one of the final projects for Ali Yousafi, who was a board member and a friend, and I'm sure probably many people on this webinar knew him well. This was really a passion project for him. He was passionate about creating affordable housing, and in particular housing for workforce, and that's exactly what the Bellevue is. So it rehabilitated a former SRO, creating 22 affordable units. Ground floor is retail. It was retail previous as well, but it maintained the historic nature of the property while creating a new, inviting opportunity for low-wage workers to live near where they work and in downtown. And a lot of people, when you think of downtown, you think of these exciting new projects. When the arena was completed shortly after the residences above the Sawyer, which I know have, some have $1 million price tags. You see some of these higher end market rate projects and think downtown is all just this high end housing. And the reality is, until about 4 years ago, 90% of the housing stock in downtown was income restricted or considered classified affordable. Today, we're at about 69%. So definitely still a significant number of affordable housing available in the downtown core. And the reason for that is the number of SROs. SRO stands for single room occupancy, and often these are hotels utilized by two groups, or housing, I should say, utilized by two groups, and that's your low wage workforce, as well as your extremely low income people who are often on federal assistance. And so I know one of the inquiries for us in this presentation was to talk about how our development projects are helping the underserved. And in downtown, SROs are really the epitome of that. Now, the Bellevue is very similar to a project that was rehabbed a couple years ago called the Ridgeway, also a former SRO. This one was unique in that it actually completely transformed the inside of this space. It went from 58 SRO units to now I want to say it's about 28. And what they did is they doubled the size of the SRO by adding bathrooms as well as kitchenettes in the room, so they look like studios, and creating a much more pleasant living experience for its residents. One of the hallmarks of an SRO for a long time has been really an uncomfortable living situation, often 100 square feet or less, with one bathroom per floor. Oftentimes, if you're lucky, maybe a microwave in the room, but traditionally you'd have to either go down to a shared kitchenette space, if even that opportunity. So, SROs have carried with them kind of a not pleasant reputation for a long time, but you've seen developers like Ali and others who are really looking at how can we reimagine what became a very important housing stock, but make sure that we aren't designating those who maybe can't afford a higher living experience, still matching that quality of life experience. And that's why rehabbing these units becomes so important. And over the last several years, several of the downtown SRO hotels have been transformed as the city updated its SRO ordinance. So you have the Golden Lofts. This one was much like the Bellevue in that it just took the existing space and added amenities and updated the interior again, so it made it a more pleasant experience for the residents living there while maintaining the affordability. For context, this is right next to the Citizen Hotel you see on your right. Across the street, SHRA just finished rehabbing the Shasta Hotel, which was another SRO. What's significant about this project is not only did they increase the living space and enhancing the amenities in the units, but also enhancing the ground floor shared space where they provide services for their residents. And that's a key with SROs. It's making sure that there is enough space to provide the services that oftentimes that very low income, federally assisted group. Oops, I'm getting a pop-up saying leaving.
Oh no. Oh, Emily. I don't know. Okay. Well, maybe while we wait for Emily to come back on, we can ask Jenna a question that I was going to ask you guys at the end, but maybe we can ask it now. So with the current state that we're in with the pandemic, how has that shifted the focus of your activities in the River District right now?
Sure. So obviously everything changed seemingly overnight. Emily and I basically found ourselves doing many of the same tasks. So at the beginning of the pandemic, there was so much information coming at property owners and developers and businesses in our various districts that our jobs very quickly became find the information, repackage the information into a format that was easy to access, send the information out into the into our various business districts to allow us to to allow our property and business owners to access it easily. Things like the the PPP, or how do you clean and sanitize. What we found, especially at the beginning, was oftentimes just have finished getting everything repackaged and something would change, or two somethings would change. So we'd scramble around and get that repackaged. We've also, for me, and I think Emily would be the same, but I'm sure when she comes back, she can answer it for herself. My focus really changed to, although I was always out in the business district, it was, put on a mask, get out there, reassure people, tell them what you know, and in a lot of cases, give them a little pep talk, because it's not a matter of we never know any more than they do. And sometimes people just need to hear that, listen, nobody knows. I mean, this thing is evolving so quickly, nobody knows. Keep doing what you're doing, keep trying to keep your business open until such time as we tell you that, it's not safe to do so. So I think that's how it changed for me.
Thank you. Hi, Emily. Oh.
I apologize. All of a sudden, I got a notification pop up saying you were leaving the webinar and it closed. So sorry about that.
No, that was my first glitch with technology, working in a virtual format. So it's never happened the last one. Okay, I'm going to make you the presenter again.
The key is always flexibility, right?
Yeah, yeah. Having the backup plan. There we go.
Okay, good. We're back. Okay, so I'll speed through this part here. I just wanted, so looking forward, I was talking a lot about SROs and enhancing that experience and creating a place where our underserved have an opportunity to live in a higher quality of life setting. So a good example of that is a 7th and H SRO that was done, I guess 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even longer now. But it's a great model of small units, but great permanent supportive housing services provided on site. And you may have heard Capitol Park over the course of the last year and a half or so now has served as a temporary homeless shelter for downtown, and really actually I should say for the city, because the majority of residents are actually coming from outside of the downtown area. That is now being transitioned as Mercy Housing is developing Capitol Park, formerly an SRO, that was about 50% vacant, into a housing project very similar to the 7th and H. And so why that's important is because it's a high quality operator, creating high quality units, continuing to serve that low income, underserved population, but in a high quality way that benefits not just the resident, but also the neighborhood as a whole. As we talk about future development projects, really important part of that is creating projects that are mixed income. And 700 block, which came online, I guess about 2 years ago now. So that's 137 units of mixed income. So you have some that are income restricted, defined as affordable, as well as some market rate. And these types of projects are important because of what they do for the financing. Not only do they create viable mixed neighborhoods, but also, by utilizing tax credits and other available financing mechanisms when you're building some of these affordable units, it can help you close the gap in what might not be a feasible project. So it's sort of a win-win in that you're getting the project completed, you're creating a mixed income neighborhood, and you're also able to build more both on the market rate side as well as the affordable side. And we're going to see more of that with the development of the next block here with the 800K project, which will be right next to the Bellevue. It's going to be 148 units developed by CFY with the Kings, and this is going to be, again, a phenomenal project that's really going to wrap around. You'll probably know the hole in the ground right across from the Darth Vader building at 8th and K. This will be there and wrap around to the L Street side. So looking forward, we have lots of new exciting projects, and this one in particular, the Cathedral Square by Anthem Properties, that's 153 units at the corner of 11th and J. If you haven't been downtown in recent months, they just finished leveling what was the Copenhagen building on that corner. This has been a blighted corner, blighted block really in downtown for quite some time. So to see this project move forward with Anthem, who is developing several projects now in the area, Canadian-based developer, and to see their investment in Sacramento is really a testament to what's coming on the horizon and the type of high-quality housing that they're going to be adding to the downtown core. At 601 Capitol Mall, we have the Frederick by Shorenstein Properties, 162 condos with about 7,000 square feet of retail on the bottom. You know, again, another property that's been a surface lot for quite some time, so I'm really excited to see right across from, you know, Golden One Center and in the heart of Capitol Mall near the heart of government itself with the Capitol to see these condo units, which again, we haven't seen a lot of coming online, and that should be done by early next year. Sacramento Commons, now this is the super block right outside of our district boundaries here, but this is going to be home to several buildings. They broke ground this year on the 1st, 436 units and about 2,000 square feet of retail. And this is right across the street, for context, 7th and P. And in a couple slides here, I'll show you what the state is doing with its office buildings, but this complex really is going to become probably the new heart of downtown's residential population when it's complete. Going back to Midtown, near H16, you have the Eleanor under construction by Sotiri, as well as the Mansion Project, also formerly known as the Bernice. And this is adding 186 units at the corner of 16th and H, right across from the governor's mansion. So in that area, they just formed a PBID that's being managed by the Midtown Association. But to see, if anyone recalls, I mean, if you were going out 16th Street towards the River District, for a long time, you saw sort of the 1-, 2-level hotels, not a lot of action, a lot of blight. And now on that block and that stretch just between J and E Street, you're going to see 8 new projects that are bringing hundreds and hundreds of residents to that area, and that brings vibrancy, activity. You're going to see pedestrian level improvements and all kinds of other things that are part of making a really viable neighborhood. So again, some more projects here, and the key is, you know, 1717S, that's a project that Cato was working on, mixed income. So I mentioned that model again, how we're getting more and more units and getting more creative and how we get these units built. You'll see 17th Central, that is right at the corner of 17th and I, and then several other projects you see here on the screen. So overall, we have something like just shy of 2,000 housing units under construction on the grid proper, which is basically Freeway to River and Alhambra to C Street. So all this housing matters because we want to make sure that we have places for people to live as they're filling these great new office spaces. And you'll see here at 8th and K, Cambria finished their project, 22,000 square feet of office space. They did add some retail, about 7,600 square feet of retail on the ground floor. And this project really transformed what was formerly the INS building at 8th and K, right in front of the light rail stop there. This is really a marquee for the type of investment that downtown employers are making. They want to create space for their employees. I mean, a big part of why Cambria They were formerly located in Midtown, now here in downtown. I mean, this is an attraction. Downtown is an amenity. And for a lot of these firms, in particular, knowledge jobs, employers creating high wage jobs, having the amenities of the downtown environment is really important. And that I mentioned those 400 storefronts create some of those amenities. The public sector workforce accounts for about 62% of downtown's total workforce. So the state has really been on a building spree after decades of kind of putting off repairs and maintenance, which you may have heard about. So really excited to see some of the designs and what they're doing to add to the downtown skyline. Here you see at 10th and O, the Capitol Annex swing space. That is still moving forward. That project has a couple hurdles left, but they fully intend on continuing to move forward, and that project has broken ground. Soon you'll see folks from the Capitol move in, when they begin working on the Capitol Annex rehab. They will move back when that reopens, and then more state tenants will be moving into that site. Almost 500,000 square feet in office space total there. Also under construction is the new Capitol office building at 1215 O Street. This is about 375,000 square feet of office space. And then probably the one that you've heard about most is the State Natural Resource Building at 1416 9th Street, and that's adding nearly 1 million square feet of office space. So not just natural resource, but you'll see consolidation here with state tenants as they start to shift and move around. Important because this project also has about 10,000 square feet of retail space on the ground level, which you don't see often in public projects. So, you know, this is going to be just blocks away from that Sacramento Commons super block project that I mentioned earlier. So when you talk about walkability and creating a place where you can live and work, having these close to each other and then creating the amenities with that ground floor retail are creating an urban neighborhood that we haven't seen here in Sacramento really in generations. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention 301 Tower. This is 301 Capitol Mall. You know, there have been consistently new ideas, new designs, but we keep holding our breath. We think that we're going to see shovels in the ground soon, and that hole that's at the gateway right there, when you come on to Capitol Mall from West Sacramento and the Tower Bridge, you will see an exciting project. Current plans call for a mixed-use tower that includes 700,000 square feet of office, about 100 multifamily units, and about 25,000 square feet of retail. I'm going to move through the next projects here pretty quickly, just in the interest of time. So if you have hotel questions, be sure to ask them. But the Exchange, this is the former Fruit Building at 4th and I, hotel building that will be complete this year with 100 rooms. Hyatt Centric at 7th and L, right next to the practice facility for the Kings. Again, a Hyatt project. This was formerly an SRO, the Marshall Hotel, and that project at 7th and H that I mentioned backfilled some of those SRO units that were lost when this transitioned to 170 key hotel that will open early next year. The Paragary Hotel in Midtown should be opening here pretty quickly. It's 105 rooms just adjacent from the Sutter Hospital. 7th and I, proposed plans for an AC Marriott. This would add 179 rooms. I'm really excited about this in the proximity it has to the waterfront. 10K, now this is an interesting mixed-use project, kind of like the tower in that it will be a hotel, as well as retail on the ground floor, and then 186 multifamily units, and that's at the corner of 10th and K, about a block up from the Capitol. So a really key site that Nikki Mohana and Mohana Development are working on. Across the river, I mentioned earlier, the extension of downtown. River One Hotel is still in the works. That is a Fulcrum project with 193 hotel rooms and 57 residential units. This is going to be a marquee hotel, you can tell, facing the river there. When we talk about activating our waterfront, it's not just the Sacramento side, it's both sides that really will create that exciting waterfront destination that a lot of us have talked about. And hotel products are important because if you remember, right in the heart of downtown, we have a new convention center. The Safe Convention Center and Performing Arts Theater District are opening in January, and we want to make sure that we have enough product to serve the guests that are coming into these new facilities. You know, I encourage you, if you haven't done so already, if you head over to Visit Sacramento's website, they've done a great job with a flyover and virtual presentation of the changes you can see at the convention center. And it really is incredible to realize how much this project has truly transformed that area. Just a quick look at the Performing Arts Theater. I know right now probably all of us are thinking about our arts groups and how they're getting through what's going on in today's unprecedented time, but you know, we can't wait to get back in there, and Sacramento is going to be a destination for arts, and in particular the performing arts and what they've done to transform this theater. So quickly, the waterfront, there were grand plans, and probably many of you on this webinar actually participated in several of the planning and conversations around how we would activate the waterfront, in particular around the Old Sacramento Historic District area. Know that those plans have, we're still fighting through and figuring out what that looks like. Obviously, with hotel occupancy dropping temporarily during what the stay-home orders, there is some question about what type of investment level is available, but whether there's a will, there's a way, and we're going to figure this out. We know that we want our waterfront to be a destination. You know, earlier Jenna showed you the slides with the powerhouse and the water intake system. We really see this being a trail that will become a regional destination that you can enjoy, not just a day with your kids at the museum, but really come down and enjoy food and beverage, the Railroad Museum, and other things to make this an exciting place for both residents and visitors to come. And of course, the MLS Stadium and the rail yards. Now, the rail yards are between downtown and the River District, and this really has the potential to double the size of our central business district. Very few cities have an opportunity like Sacramento does, and to see what the Kellys are doing with the rail yards and the plans there, MLS is an incredible asset and amenity to our region. And you know, we couldn't be more excited to see this going. You may have heard the news; it's been delayed, but by 1 year. So know that you know, the MLS Stadium is fully intending on moving forward, and we can't wait to see the entertainment district, about the 15 acres around that there are going to pop up near more housing options, more office, more entertainment. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The Sacramento County Courthouse. Now, this is an interesting one. They've been talking about this probably for, again, years and years and years, and finally had some momentum in moving forward last year with the Judicial Council approving the cost to move forward with that courthouse. So this is something our region desperately needs. They finally found the right location right here in the rail yards. Other locations had been explored prior, but this is, again, something that's going to consolidate jobs. And going back to that housing that I mentioned, you know, we're creating kind of that flow where both work and play and live are kind of within the same general area, so that we can take advantage of a reduced carbon footprint, but also a higher quality of life, as those amenities are kind of interwoven with each other. I mentioned the rail yards already, and I just want to give it one more plug because it does truly have the opportunity to change Sacramento's trajectory, and this project can't be understated in the development of the 240 acres that are the rail yards and everything that will go into that. You know, Kaiser's building a new hospital. I mentioned the MLS Stadium. They have an incredible plan for the shops that you see here with new retail and commercial tenants. So when we talk about being an attraction, and Greater Sacramento and others are working on many of those efforts, the rail yards is going to be a key component in what makes this an attractive place for those jobs and recruitment efforts. So in closing, you know, I can't not talk about what is, you know, today's reality with stay-home orders, with concerns about health and safety. Downtown Sacramento Partnership has a maintenance team that's on the street 7 days a week, sanitizing, cleaning services, making sure that downtown is clean and ready and open for business. You know, we recognize that not everyone can be here in person to support the businesses. You know, significant number of our offices are working remotely, but know that, you know, we are committed to a downtown that's going to make it through this, and we're going to make sure that we come out of this stronger than ever, because we are in this together.
Thank you, ladies. We do have a couple questions and we're running short on time, so I'm just going to jump right in. Seth had a question: where can a vendor inquire to help design or supply the vacant upcoming office buildings? Do we have an answer for that, or somewhere where he can reference?
Can you design a vacant office building?
I think what the question is kind of is, where would somebody inquire about the upcoming office spaces to design or help supply, I think, input really for the project?
Yeah, so I'll maybe take first step for downtown projects at least. So all projects that are in the greater downtown area, so Central City, we look at that as being the American River that Jenna showed you, the boundary there, to Broadway, and then Alhambra to the Bridge District in West Sacramento. You will find project information on downtownsac.org. We list all those development projects, who the developer is, and where the status of the project is. If it's within the City of Sacramento limits, I encourage you to also go to the City of Sacramento's website. They have a development tracker, which might be able to give you more minute details as far as where the project is in development. But really, I would say probably your best bet is going to be, you know, looking at who that project developer is, and then initiating contact with them.
Perfect.
And ours is similar. Some of our biggest projects are office buildings, and the best way, if you are not on the state's procurement website as a vendor, you should definitely do that. Not going to lie to you, as with most things state related, it's a little bit onerous to work through the process, but it's worth it. Particularly if you are a minority owned business or a woman owned business, they get extra points. So I'd really encourage you to get yourself set up on those state websites. But other than that, it's the same as Emily. Contact the developer directly.
Perfect. And then Jenna, this one is for you. When we think about designing for dignity, what is the River District team doing to help those with disabilities and the elderly with development efforts?
In terms of housing?
Housing, or probably just in general, I would say even transportation, which I think you kind of addressed in your presentation.
Yeah, we have not been incredibly accessible in the past because we are a very industrial, you know, our past is very industrial. As the new projects are developed, of course, you know, the Americans with Disabilities Act is front and center on all of those. And in terms of elderly and so on, most of the housing that's going to the River District, Mirasol Village specifically, is all affordable. So it will be, you know, ADA, all of the construction will be ADA compliant. It's something that's always a challenge, but it's something that's always front of mind for us.
Perfect. And then this kind of tees into that. What is the median rent price and or housing price for the new places being built?
All over the place. You know, it depends. It really truly depends on the type of product too, right? So I think for Sacramento right now, 1 bedroom, going off the top of my head here, I want to say the average rent was close to $1,600. Now that's obviously it takes in a lot of factors. So if you're looking at new construction, you're gonna be on a higher end. Again, new construction frees up space as people are moving out of existing product. So, but go to downtownsac.org and download our fact sheet because that will tell you the exact number.
And in the River District, you know, again, coming back to Marisol Village, that originally was 218 units, and those, because it's going to 20, those 218 of those units will still be 30% of AMI. I think there are only going to be 6 market rate units in that whole development. So the rest of them are all considered affordable, and they're tiered. So, you know, 30% of AMI, 50% of AMI, 70% of AMI, and then only 6 market. So I do believe that for Township 9, it will be mostly market. The affordable component of that Township 9 lot has already been built, and that's the Cannery Place apartment building. That's 187 units, all affordable. You know, that's big A affordable. So I don't know offhand what the average rent is on there. And you've met the entire staff of the River District, so it's not on our website.
And then I think we'll do one last question in the conscious of time. The other one is, are there any current conversations for the idea to build over I-5 and help to reconnect downtown to the waterfront?
I think if we can find the money, there's the will. That's always been the big question, right? It's very cost prohibitive to duck the freeway. That being said, seeing what other cities like Seattle and have done and some big ideas, you know, we can dream it, we can do it.
Okay.
Currently, there are no plans to do that.
Just dreams, just dreams.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll wrap it up. I want to say thank you so much to Jenna and Emily. I know life is so crazy right now, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to share with the design community and our participants all the things that you're working on, especially in this time of a pandemic. So thanks so much for taking the time and being a part of this today. So
if I could just, you know, for your viewers, obviously, you know, this is a trying time. It's touched, I think, every single part of our community. And we all have an opportunity to make sure that we can get through this. So helping each other stay healthy, stay safe. But also remembering that you don't need to physically be in downtown to support downtown. I know how many people are working from home. Let's support our business community, support our residents, everyone who's really trying to get through this. We need to, if we're in this together, we can get through this together.
Totally agree.
Well said. All right, maybe no other words need to be said. I appreciate everybody participating today. Again, Jenna and Emily, thank you so much. And it's nice to, you know, to see everybody virtually, even though we didn't see everybody. I miss seeing people. So everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we will talk to you soon. And one last thing, this will also be on our website at some point here pretty quick. The 2 other webinars that were before this are going to be on the website, and then this one will be if you want to pass it along or send it off or watch it again. So thanks again.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.